At 74, Muhammad Ali finally revealed 5 boxers. He was scared to fight. June 3, 2016, Phoenix, Arizona. Muhammad Ali died at 74 years old. Parkinson's disease, respiratory complications, the end of the greatest. For 32 years, the world watched Ali deteriorate. The hands that once moved like lightning shook uncontrollably. The voice that once proclaimed, "I am the greatest," reduced to a whisper. The man who danced like a butterfly moved like stone. But in his final years, when the cameras were off and the visitors had left, Ali confessed things to his wife Lonnie, to his daughters, to the few people allowed into his inner circle. "I wasn't fearless," Ali whispered, his voice barely audible. "The world thought I feared nothing, but I was terrified. Every big fight, every dangerous opponent. I just acted better than everyone else." The man who predicted rounds, who wrote poems, who told Sonny Liston he'd float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, who stood over Liston screaming, "Get up and fight, sucker!" That man was an act, a performance, the greatest act in boxing history. Behind the confidence was a scared kid from Louisville. Ali confessed before his death. A kid who knew he was one punch away from being nobody, from going back to Cassius Clay, from being forgotten. At 74, unable to speak clearly, his hands trembling from Parkinson's, Muhammad Ali finally told the truth. 5 boxers who terrified him. 5 men who made the greatest question if he was really great. This is his deathbed confession. Number 5, Ernie Shavers, New York, September 29, 1977. Madison Square Garden, the night Muhammad Ali almost died. Ernie Shavers, the hardest puncher in heavyweight history. Harder than Foreman, harder than Tyson, harder than anyone who ever lived. When they made the Shavers fight, I wanted to retire, Ali confessed in his final years. Ernie was 33 years old, prime, peak power, and I was 35, already feeling every fight, already slowing down. Ali had seen what Shavers did to opponents. One punch, lights out, men unconscious before they hit the canvas. Careers ended in seconds. I watched Ernie knock out Jimmy Ellis. Jimmy was my friend, my sparring partner. Tough guy. Ernie put him to sleep in 1 round. And I thought, what if he does that to me? Training camp was consumed by fear. I trained different for Ernie, not to win, to survive. Because winning against Ernie meant surviving his right hand. That was the only goal. Don't get hit clean, stay alive. Fight night. 15 rounds of terror. Round 2, Ernie hit me with a right hand. My soul left my body. I was somewhere else, not on earth, somewhere dark. And I thought, this is it. This is how I die. On my feet in Madison Square Garden. Ali survived. Barely. Won by unanimous decision. But the fight took years off his life. After the Shavers fight, I couldn't speak right for days. Couldn't think straight for weeks. My brain was scrambled. And I knew that fight damaged me, permanently. At 74, dying from Parkinson's, Ali understood. I was scared of Ernie Shavers because one punch could end everything. Not just the fight. My life, brain death, paralysis, everything I feared came true anyway. Just slower. Parkinson's did what Ernie's right hand could have done. Destroyed me from the inside. Maybe Ernie would have been faster, more merciful. Number 4. Larry Holmes, Las Vegas, October 2, 1980. The worst night of Muhammad Ali's life. Larry Holmes, 35-0. Heavyweight champion. The best jab in boxing. Ali's former sparring partner. When they announced the Holmes fight, everyone told me no, Ali said before his death. My doctors, my family, My friends, they saw what I couldn't see, that I was done, that my body was breaking down, that fighting Larry would destroy me. But Ali took the fight anyway. Why? Because I was scared of being forgotten, scared that if I stayed retired, the world would move on without me, find a new hero, replace Muhammad Ali. That fear was stronger than the fear of getting hurt. Ali was 38, overweight, slow, medicated for early Parkinson's symptoms nobody knew about yet. I looked in the mirror during training camp, saw an old man, not Muhammad Ali, just an old man playing dress-up, pretending to be something he wasn't anymore. Fight night. 10 rounds of punishment. From the first bell, I knew I'd made a mistake. Larry was too young, too strong, too good, and I was nothing. A shadow of what I was. A ghost fighting a man. Round after round, Holmes dominated, jabbed, moved, made Ali look ancient, made Ali look pathetic. Larry was crying between rounds, crying because he loved me, and he was beating me up, and I wouldn't quit, wouldn't stop, wouldn't protect myself, and Larry had to hurt me, had to damage me, to prove he was champion. After round 10, Ali's corner stopped it. Mercifully. When my corner stopped that fight, I was relieved. Not embarrassed. Relieved. Because it was over. The punishment was over. The pretending was over. But the damage was done. The Holmes fight accelerated my Parkinson's. Doctors told me later. All those punches, to a brain already sick. Larry didn't give me Parkinson's, but he made it worse. Much worse. And I did that to myself. Because I was scared of being forgotten. At 74, Ali's voice was barely a whisper. I wasn't scared of Larry Holmes, the fighter. I was scared of what fighting Larry meant, that I was old, that my time was over, that Muhammad Ali was just a memory. And I couldn't accept that, so I let Larry beat me, and I've been paying for it every day since. Number 3. George Foreman, Kinshasa, Zaire. October 30th, 1974, the rumble in the jungle. The most terrified Muhammad Ali ever was. George Foreman, 40 charge, 37 knockouts. Destroyed Joe Frazier in 2 rounds. Destroyed Ken Norton in 2 rounds. The most devastating heavyweight champion since Sonny Liston. George Foreman was my death sentence. Ali confessed before dying. Everyone knew it. I knew it. George knew it. The whole world was watching Muhammad Ali go to his execution. Foreman was 25. Ali was 32. The size difference was crushing. George was stronger, younger, more powerful, undefeated. Before Zaire, I couldn't sleep. Every night, I saw George's fists coming, in slow motion, and me, unable to move, unable to stop them, just standing there, waiting to die. The press conferences were performance. Ali called George names, mocked him, made him angry. But privately, Ali was terrified. I called George a mummy, said he couldn't talk, said he was ugly. Not because I believed it, because I needed him to believe I believed it. If George thought I was confident, maybe he'd doubt himself. That was my only chance. Training camp in Zaire was psychological warfare, against himself. I trained like I was preparing for war, because I was. This wasn't a boxing match. This was survival. George Foreman or Muhammad Ali. Only one walks out, and everyone bet on George. Fight night. The rope-a-dope. 8 rounds of absorbing punishment that should have ended him. Round 1, George hit me with a right hand that made my ancestors feel it. Everything in my body said quit, run, survive. But I couldn't. The world was watching, and if I quit, I was nothing. So I leaned on the ropes and let George punch me for 8 rounds. Round 8. Ali knocked Foreman out. Impossibly. Miraculously. When George went down, I didn't celebrate. I collapsed. From exhaustion. From fear. From knowing I had just survived certain death. George Foreman should have ended me that night, and somehow, I'm the one standing. But before his death, Ali admitted the cost. The Foreman fight destroyed my brain, more than any fight. All those bombs to my head, to my body, for 8 rounds. That's when Parkinson's started. Not diagnosed for years, but that's when it started. George Foreman gave me 2 things: my greatest victory, and the disease that ended me. At 74, Ali's hands shook. I was scared of George Foreman because he represented my mortality. Young George beating old Ali. And I barely survived. And surviving George cost me everything. My health, my speech, my hands, my life. Was it worth it? Ask me when I'm gone. Number 2, sunny Liston, Miami Beach, February 25, 1964, the night Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali. But before that night, Cassius Clay was terrified. Sonny Liston was the monster, Ali said before his death. Not a metaphor. A real monster. 6'1", with 15-inch fists and a stare that made grown men quit. And I was 22 years old. Fast. Loud. Scared. The build-up to the Liston fight was theater. Ali screamed at weigh-ins, called Liston ugly, said he'd float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But privately? I was so scared, I almost didn't show up to the fight. My hands were shaking before the weigh-in, not from excitement, from terror. Because Sonny Liston had destroyed everyone. Floyd Patterson, twice, in the first round. What was he going to do to me? Angelo Dundee, Ali's trainer, admitted years later. Cassius almost quit before the first bell. My corner had to talk me into walking out. I was sitting on that stool, looking across the ring, seeing Sonny Liston staring at me. And I thought, I'm about to get hurt. On live television, in front of the world. But Ali walked out, and something happened. When I threw my first jab, Sonny didn't slip it. He just took it. And I thought, wait, Sonny's not Superman. He's just a man. A big, mean man. But still a man. And men can be beaten. 6 rounds. Liston quit on his stool. Claimed shoulder injury. Ali won. Became champion. Shocked the world. But the truth? I got lucky. Sonny was old, damaged, connected to the mob. Maybe he had to lose. Maybe God protected me. I don't know. What I know is this. If that fight happened a year earlier, when Sonny was younger, when Sonny still cared, I lose. Badly. The rematch in Lewiston, Maine, 1965. The Phantom Punch. First round knockout. People ask about the Phantom Punch. Did Sonny take a dive? I hit him. Not hard. But Sonny went down. And stayed down. And I never understood why. Until years later. Until what? Until I understood fear. Sonny was scared too. Scared of the mob. Scared of getting old. Scared of proving he was nothing without fear. So when I hit him, he stayed down. Because staying down was easier than admitting the truth. That we were both frauds. Both scared kids pretending to be champions. Before his death, Ali's greatest revelation. I wasn't scared of Sonny Liston's fists. I was scared he'd expose me. Show the world I wasn't special. Just a fast kid with a big mouth. Sonny did that to everyone. Made them admit they were nothing. I beat him before he could do it to me, but barely. And I've been running from that truth ever since. Number 1, Joe Frazier. 3 fights, 3 wars. The rivalry that defined a generation and destroyed both men. Joe Frazier was the fighter I was most scared of, Ali confessed before his death. Not because of his punch, because of what he represented. The truth. The man I couldn't break. The opponent I couldn't beat with words. The fighter who made me fight. March 8, 1971. The first fight. Madison Square Garden. The fight of the century. Ali was undefeated until Joe Frazier, 31-0. The Louisville Lip, the greatest. Before the Frazier fight, I was terrified, not of losing, of being hurt. Joe wasn't slick. Joe was a destroyer. He came forward, threw hooks, wanted to hurt you. And I knew. I knew Joe wanted to hurt me, specifically me. Why? Because I called him an Uncle Tom. Called him ignorant, called him ugly, made fun of him to sell tickets, turned America against him, made black folks hate him because he wouldn't join me against the war. I did that, and Joe never forgave me. Fight night. 15 rounds of hell. Joe won. Unanimous decision. Round 15, Joe hit me with a left hook that sent me to another dimension. I fell. Got up. But I was gone. Joe had beaten me. Fairly. Completely. The first loss of my career. And I couldn't accept it. They fought twice more. Ali won both. But the damage was permanent. The 3 Frazier fights took everything from me. My speed, my reflexes, my health. Joe hit me with hundreds of hooks to the head. My brain never recovered. Neither did Joe's. We destroyed each other. For what? For entertainment? For money? For pride? The worst part wasn't the fights. It was after. I never apologized to Joe. Not really. Not genuinely. I said words. But I never told him the truth. That I was sorry. That I was wrong. That he deserved better. That calling him an Uncle Tom was cruel. Evil. Unforgivable. Joe Frazier died in 2011. Still angry at Ali. Still hurting from the words more than the punches. When Joe died, I was already too sick to speak clearly. Parkinson's had taken my voice. I couldn't tell him. Couldn't apologize properly. Couldn't make it right. And Joe died hating me. Because of words I said 50 years ago. Because I was scared he'd beat me. So I hurt him first. With words. And those words destroyed our friendship. Destroyed his spirit. Destroyed something in both of us. At 74, dying himself, Ali's final confession. I was scared of Joe Frazier because he was everything I pretended to be. Brave. Honest. Tough. Real. Joe didn't need poems. Didn't need predictions. Didn't need an act. He was just Joe. A warrior. And I couldn't accept that Joe was better than me. So I destroyed him with words, called him names, made him an enemy, and we spent 40 years hurting each other, when we should have been brothers. 56 wins, 3-time heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medal, the greatest of all time. But before his death, Muhammad Ali didn't count victories. He counted regrets. Shavers showed me I could die. Holmes showed me I was mortal. George showed me I could lose. Sonny showed me I was a fraud. And Joe showed me I was cruel. That being the greatest meant being the loneliest, the most hated, the most damaged. 5 boxers, 5 terrors, 5 truths Muhammad Ali hid behind poetry and predictions. People ask what made me great. They expect me to say speed, or skills, or confidence. Ali shook his head, unable to speak clearly. Parkinson's stealing his final words. Fear made me great. Being scared of death made me move. Being scared of being forgotten made me talk. Being scared of being ordinary made me extraordinary. But the cost? The cost was everything. On June 3, 2016, Muhammad Ali died, surrounded by family, loved by millions, respected by billions. But in his final moment, the faces came. Ernie's right hand, Larry's jab, George's power, Sonny's stare, Joe's left hook. I was the greatest, Ali whispered before the end. But being the greatest meant fighting the most dangerous men alive. And they all took something from me. My health, my voice, my hands, my peace. Was it worth it? The man who once floated like a butterfly couldn't move at all. The man who once stung like a bee couldn't speak. The man who proclaimed, "I am the greatest," couldn't say anything. I was scared of 5 boxers, Ali's final confession to his wife. But the boxer I was most scared of? Myself. The one who couldn't stop, who couldn't walk away, who needed to be the greatest more than he needed to be healthy. That boxer ended me. Not Frazier, not Foreman, me. I destroyed myself to be the greatest, and I'd do it again. Muhammad Ali closed his eyes for the last time. The faces were still there. They always would be.